Okie dokie. I'm on time. Can you fucking believe it? I'm actually on time. But I'm in a fucking foul mood. I'm in an absolutely foul mood, which makes great listening for all the people who are coming to join us today. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. If you're Dillian White's lawyer, you definitely won't be hitting the like or subscribe button after hearing me tear into these motherfuckers for the next hour and a half straight. Before I get on to the introductions, let me just quickly say a very, very quick bit of channel news. I did tell you that there will be some changes to the channel. So these are the new prices that you can now see on the screen. As I said before, we are now starting to get our prices in line with some of these other places that seem to be doing very, very good money. So if you want me to read a comment, that'll be $4.99. Yeah, that's how it goes, isn't it? I thought that's how it goes, isn't it? So if you want me to read a comment, it's $4.99. I can only see comments if they're attached to a super chat. Otherwise, I can't see them. Anybody wants me to shout them out? Any shout outs? $6.99. Anybody wants me to quote unquote be impartial? You heard this one. I'm impartial. I'm not biased. I'm impartial. If you want me to be impartial, that'll cost you a tenner. Excuse me. If someone wants to be really nice, you can do the. I can do the. Oh no, you shouldn't have. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, you shouldn't have given me any money. I can't believe you did. Please keep giving me money. That'll be 20 quid if you want that one. If you want the, oh, you shouldn't have. Oh, God, I'm so grateful. Oh, you shouldn't have given me any money. Please give me some money. That'll be 20 quid. So it is what it is. Phil says $9.99 super chat. Dillian wants to know your address. He says to send an Easter card. Dillian knows my address. That's why I've got Dillian White hanging outside my front. Dillian White's been waiting outside the front door for the last 2.5 years, but ever since COVID, I've been staying indoors. Anyway, here with me to discuss and talk all matters, Dillian White's lawyer, Amazon joining boxing, Anthony Joshua possibly versus Alexander Usyk in Saudi Arabia, and a whole plethora of topics. I'm just extending this introduction while I tell them my speakers, because I think I must be the only YouTube person on this planet that would invite a guest onto YouTube and not actually tell on their speakers or their headset so they can fucking hear them. Lord Riku, join. Oh, and I can hear you. Wow. So that long introduction actually worked. Riku, how are we doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. I hope the donations for the super chat are going to Adrian Broner's Cash App, as he regularly asks people to donate money to his Cash App.
I can't laugh too much because I've got a fucking chest problem here, and you got me already with the Adrian Broner Cash App. Is that nigga still on OnlyFans?
I'm not sure. I mean, probably him and Belly. Who else might join? Ebony Bridges. Who else? There's lots of boxers.
The funny thing is, she'll make the most money out of them all. ABB sent me a super chat, Riku. We got our first super chat of the day. ABB sent me $500. He says, have a beer on me. Thank you for that, ABB. I don't know why your comment hasn't turned. What's the super chat color, Riku? Is it fucking baby blue? Isn't it?
Or I can't remember. I mean, look, is that Dillian White in disguise? Have a beer with me, and turn up in Brixton in this pub.
All right, let's
turn up in Miguel's to pick me up for this beer.
Say that again.
Turn up to Miguel's, and we'll go for beer afterwards. That's how you
go for. Jeez, I'm not sure I'd come out. Let's have a look here. Oh God, Jason Walker. I'm going to do this very quickly, and the only reason I'm addressing this is because it's Jay. If anybody else addressed this would just be an immediate ban. But it's Jason. Did you see Emperor Michael spar Dean Scott? Man had them skates on for real. He's got good footwork, Emperor Michael, actually. I think he has got some degree of boxing ability, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
He does. I don't know what the terms of these spars are, because it seems like he doesn't throw punches back, but maybe it's just that he's got genuine. Okay, I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to get my head taken off. But I think he's got genuine footwork. Anyway, look, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get involved in any of this fucking. YouTube at the minute is turning into Tupac and fucking Biggie. Do you know what I mean? No, somebody's going to get iced.
Yeah, it's turning into Tupac and Biggie in a minute, and we're going to be like, I don't know, Riku, if me and you are lucky enough to be the fucking last men standing, I don't know, maybe we'll be sitting there doing a Faith Evans sitting in there, singing, "I'll be missing you." That's what we're going to be singing, isn't it? That's what we're going to be singing, because at the minute it's just there's a lot of hot talk. There you go.
Well, you know what? If you ever go to Vegas, don't get into a black SUV and drive off after a boxing fight. That's not a good ending for us.
Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, right, there you go. Dench says he will call you out. I get along with Emperor Michael fine. He won't be calling me out. I get along with him fine. All right, let's crack on with... sorry, I've got my fucking screens mixed up. Just give me a sec. Let's crack on with this absolute fucking moron, if I can get my screens right sometime this millennium. Dillian White, lawyer, here we go. That's a better screen. Dillian White's lawyer, Jeffrey Benz, also known in the trade as Lionel Hutz. I've got some specific points I want to run through, actually. So I'm going to go through each of these specific points, and then you can comment on them, okay? Because I re-listened to that absolute shit show of a discussion between Jeffrey Benz and Frank Warren.
Yes.
All right. And I noted down a couple of points. Here's point number one that I noted, Riku. The first thing that Jeffrey Benz said when he came on to talk to Frank Warren was he spoke about, how are you doing with these tickets? That's what he said. He said, how are you doing with all these tickets that Dillian wants to buy, but you've given them to Ticketmaster? My first point to you, Riku, would be the following, all right? And this is why I've got this man's mug on the screen here. Why the fuck would you want loads of tickets? Or why the fuck would you want more than 6 tickets to a fight that you've got no interest in promoting? Have you ever heard of such thing? I'm not going to promote the fight. I don't want to pay any part of promoting the fight. I'm not going to turn up to the press conference, but I want you to give me X, Y, and Z tickets to turn up to the fight. Just before I let you go, Rico, I just want to show people on the screen. Dean White, this is some of the stuff we've been hearing about this fight since it's been announced. Dean White has been telling BT Sport, your pay-per-view numbers will be very low, according to IFL TV. I haven't watched this video, but that's the headline. Dean White quoted as telling BT Sport, your pay-per-view numbers will be very low. We've got Dean White in this interview here at the top of the screen telling people nobody does it like Matchroom. And of course, as I've just mentioned, neither of these two have refused to turn up to the press conference or promote this fight so far in any way, shape, or form. So that was the first thing that struck me, I have to say, tonight about what Dillian White's lawyer was asking for, Rico. I've never had a situation where a fighter refuses to promote a fight, but all of a sudden wants XYZ amount of tickets.
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion. So I've seen boxing contracts before, mainly contracts for boxers were promoters, but I've also seen a few bout contracts in my life, and those are very detailed. They can be many, many pages long, and they will stipulate everything, how are you getting to the venue, who's paying for the cabs, hotel rooms, how many hotel rooms, how many nights in a hotel, is breakfast included, all sorts of things. So like in any contract negotiations, that's part of the things that get agreed, right? So you would agree, how many tickets does Dillian White have? Are those comped? Do those come out of his purse? Where are the tickets? Are they ringside tickets? What price bracket are they at? So everything comes back to, in this conversation, one topic and one topic only, which is what does the contract say and what was agreed in the contract. You can't go to it's like you buying a house, right? You can't go to somebody and say, we've agreed to buy the house, here's the contracts, where are my white goods? Well, we didn't negotiate white goods as part of the contract, so why should I have the white goods? And I think that's where the ineptitude of this lawyer really shines, Mr. Benz. He's negotiating things that should be already agreed in the contract negotiations.
Hold on. When you say white goods, we're not talking women, are we? Just checking.
I'm not Nick Cannon, so it's fine.
Okay. Speaking of contracts and what should be in the contract and what should not be in the contract, Dillian White's lawyer, the next, and by the way, I'll for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure you all know, a quick spoiler, every single contentious point that Dillian White's lawyer raised on that 20-minute back and forth with Frank Warren, not one of those points was in the contract. But there are some interesting counter arguments that have been put to me on this, and I will go through those in a second. Escrow. Dillian White's lawyer basically turning around and saying that can't really trust Frank Warren because This is basically, I'm going to paraphrase it, but he basically said, can't trust Frank Warren, basically, because he's had problems paying fighters before, right? And he needs Dillian White's money put in an escrow account, all right? And apparently he said, and I quote, these are basic things, right? Basic things. And you've kind of stolen my thunder there, but if Jeffrey Benz thinks setting up an escrow account to protect Dillian White's purse is that important and such a basic thing, nobody online has yet been able to explain to me why the fuck is it not in the contract?
Yeah, I think if I understand this correctly, when you actually do a purse bid for a bout, if you win that purse bid, you need to put a percentage of that money into the escrow for the governing body to guarantee essentially that you won the purse bid and you have the funds to pay. And then once the contract's agreed, that contract essentially sits outside of the governing body splits, right? So you don't have to pay what's in the contract to the fighters, either of them, right? That's like a minimum negotiation point. Because why would you accept 80-20 splits, less than 80-20, unless you might have some pay-per-view upside? But essentially in the contract then comes the agreements of how the fighters are paid for that event. That's not in the purse bid process. So as a lawyer, as a minimum, you should guarantee the mechanism of how you're going to be paid. So it's like buying a house, right? In order for you to get the keys for the house or secure the house, your lawyers need to transfer that money to another party at a certain date. And you could ask for that money to be transferred in escrow if you wanted, which I think a lot of boxing promoters do. So in this case, they could say, we want 20% of the money in an escrow or 30% of the money in an escrow, which covers White's purse, and the rest you're not worried about. Because you don't need 100% of the money in the escrow because you haven't made 100% of the revenue at that point. So there's probably a date when a certain amount of money needs to go to the escrow ahead of the fight, because the revenue from the fight comes from the pay-per-views and ticket sales, and that will be sorted after the event. So you don't need to put all the money in the escrow. But Dillian White's lawyer could have pushed for 20% of the money, which covers Dillian White's purse, to be in an escrow, let's say 2 weeks ahead of the fight, and then that gets released after the fight has taken place.
I think what was interesting was, I think Dillian White's lawyer's complaint was basically that no escrow account had been set up. And I think that Frank tried to say, look, you spoke to my son, George. We agreed that we can put the money in an escrow account, even though it's not in the contract, but you need to turn up to the press conference. And Dillian White didn't turn up to the press conference, and thus it went on there. But what I found particularly interesting about the escrow account was that Simon Jordan then jumped in and said, well, hold on a minute. If you want the money in some kind of escrow account, you need to set up that escrow account and give the account details for Frank to put the money in if you want him to put it in. And that's what I found quite interesting, is that Dillian White's lawyer was asking for something about escrow accounts, which apparently, obviously, he didn't get in writing in the contract, and seemed to not know that the responsibility of setting up the escrow account really kind of lied with the Dillian Whyte kind of side of things. They seem to be expecting Frank Warren to do it.
Well, essentially, for the escrow account, you'd have to agree. So you put the money in a bank account, and then when certain terms are met, that money gets released to somebody else. It's like a holding account. So they can say, once the first bell rings, that money will be released, or that money will be released after the fight has ended, right? And that money essentially then leaves Frank Warren's account, goes somewhere else, and by the terms of what that will be released, that will determine. So Frank Warren can't then say, don't release the money, or, Benz can't say, release the money beforehand. It's a third party that holds that money, and that's all in the contract, right? You will agree what triggers the money to be released from the escrow account.
Right, except it's not in the contract.
Well, exactly, but that's we got back to the same point. Like, all of this stuff should be in the contract. How does the fighter get paid? Like, what did they expect? A bank transfer 14 days after the fight? That's quite standard at small level. 14 days after the fight, once everything's been settled, ticket sales, everything else. That's when you get. But for a fight of this magnitude, you'd put a certain amount in the escrow account, and then that gets released after the event.
I was going to ask you why they signed the contract, but I think we know the reason. I will try and balance it out. There's some interesting counterpoints were made actually on social media. One of them was that Dillian's kind of been a bit shafted because when Frank Warren sent this original bout agreement, which I don't even really know what about a bout agreement is, I'm not really a contract guy, but when Frank Warren sent the original bout agreement form, there was something wrong with the form, or the form was incorrect or misrepresented in some way. Because of that, and because they had to sort out the back and forth with the agreement, all right, that was originally sent by Frank Warren, that basically delayed Dillian White signing of the contract, and in essence, that gave him less time to sign the contract. And in essence, a lot of Dillian White fans are there saying, therefore, it's kind of like Dillian's been sort of railroaded into signing something because he had a time limit on when he had to sign the contract, but some of that time limit was taken up sorting out something that was ultimately the mistake of Frank Warren. Any comments on that?
I mean, look, that's just the contract negotiation, isn't it? It's if you have a certain amount of time, surely there's legal mechanisms that could force you to push that signing. Like, it doesn't happen that way. If somebody makes a mistake, then that, it's a negotiation. You can speak to your lawyer to fix extra time, or you speak to the governing body and say, we aren't being given a fair shot here to look at the contract and review the documents.
Because that was a very, very good point. Because I turned around and I said, well, look, how long did Dillian White and his team have to sign this agreement? They had fucking weeks and weeks and weeks, right? That's what I said. And they fucked around for weeks to sign it. I mean, they left it until the last minute. And that's what Frank said in his interview with Talk Sport. But that was an interesting counterpoint raised. They couldn't sign it because the original agreement that Frank presented to them wasn't the correct one, or there was some kind of problem with that. So yeah, that's kind of the counterpoint there, Riku, is that Jeffrey Benz is saying we signed the contract, but we signed the contract with some stipulations in it that there have to be further negotiations on points.
But that doesn't work that way because both parties have to sign a contract, right? So Frank Warren has to agree to those further negotiations and stipulations at a later date. Like, it's not that they can sign a contract and put an addendum in the contract to say, well, we agree this if this and this and this happens. Essentially, you sign a contract and you agree the further things, right? When you sign a contract to buy a house or an employment contract, for example, if you say, I want to negotiate my salary in 6 months' time, your employer has to agree to that. You can't just write after your salary, I want to negotiate this in 6 months' time with a pencil, and then just sign it and say, well, you guys agreed to it because you've signed it already.
Right. Okay. Let me get to a couple of questions around this, but there's something different. Why do you think this is going? No. Why do you think this is happening? Why do you think this is happening? What do you think the end game is? What's the whole fucking point of this? And who do you think's behind this? A few people think Eddie's sort of told a few people to stir the pot and try and make life as difficult as possible, etc. What do you think? I'll give you my opinion, but I wanted to ask you, why do you think we're having these talks now 4 weeks out from the fight? And has it changed your opinion about whether you think this fight will happen? Are you less confident this fight will happen? I'm not, by the way, but are you less confident this fight will happen?
I mean, look, I am, because I think there's a few things here. One, it's a negotiation tactic, right? They might want to get a sweetener to make the fight happen. But the other thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if things won't be in the background that we're not aware of and people are upset. And then Dillian White has an injury. That could happen. And then the injury...
But where is he? Can I also say, Riku, I looked at his social media. I'm sure Eddie Hearn says he's training hard. I believe Dillian White's going to turn up, and I believe Dillian White's going to turn up at 100%. And I'll tell you why in a second, right?
Yeah.
But there's no record. It's funny. Normally, I mean, even if Dillian White's not promoting it himself, normally you kind of hear rumors around the boxing world, yeah, about who he's brought in for sparring. Do you know what I mean? Who he's brought in for sparring, who's going out there, who's doing what. I haven't heard a thing about sparring partners going out to Portugal to spar with Dillian. There's been no footage. It's been rather quiet. Sorry, do you think there's anything in that or not? Or?
I think it's tactical. It's tactical in the sense, not because they don't want to make Fury think that he's not prepared, but they just more want to give the mystique, and they wouldn't present themselves as they're not training for this fight. The fight's not happening. Because if he was sparring and bringing him sparring partners, it would seem like the fight's going to happen. So all of this posturing is for nothing. Do you see where I'm coming from? It's
Absolutely.
all part of the same con to try and make them believe that, okay, we'll give you the extra 5%. Just make sure it's going to happen.
Do you know? Let me give you my opinion on a couple of things. Control the controllables is one of Sonny Singh's favorite phrase. Control the controllables, right? Now, Dillian White might come in this ring and beat Tyson Fury on points, knock him out, whatever, and might win the fight. I'm not saying he can't win the fight. But what I'm saying is I do find it bizarre, and I'm sure Dillian's, and his lawyers and his team are trying to shield him from as much of this as possible. But it does feel to me like the lawyer, Dean White, and possibly Dillian as well, we don't know for sure, they're focusing on things they can't control, aren't they? A lot, like things that are out of their control. So you see on the screen here, Dean White worrying about BT Sport pay-per-view numbers. And I said, well, what the fuck is he worrying about BT Sport pay-per-view numbers for? Regardless of how much it does on BT Sport pay-per-view, your purse is agreed. You're getting a hell of a lot of money to turn up. Yeah, win, lose or draw. BT Sport purse has got nothing to do with you. So why would you worry about BT Sport pay-per-view numbers? Then there's the question of, why would you worry about nobody does it like Matchroom, and Matchroom aren't promoting the event? Why would you worry about, listen to this, Dillian White's team and Dillian White's lawyers said they didn't want Frank Warren and Queensbury Promotions to use any picture, the picture they did of Dillian White without his permission, because they quote unquote misrepresented his status. So his lawyer claimed that by putting up this picture of Dillian White on the poster for Fury and White, he claims that his status was misrepresented. I'll ask you, I think I know why that is in a minute. I just think, Riku, that's bizarre. 4 weeks out from the biggest fight of your life and you're worried about what photos. And I'll tell you what, Riku, I'll let you carry on. I think the reason why the lawyer is talking about Dillian White's status as being misrepresented, I have a feeling it's because he hasn't got that stupid ass interim title on.
Yeah.
In that picture. And I think that's what it will be. So I just find it bizarre that 4 weeks out from a fight, 5 weeks out from a fight, the biggest fight of your life, and you're focusing on things that have got absolutely nothing to do with the fight. Sorry, Riku. Just, I think it's bizarre.
I think it's all a negotiation tactic. So, complaining about the small points so that you can concede a few things in order to help your negotiation position. So I think that's happening in the background. The thing I agree with you, what I don't understand is this talking about the pay-per-view numbers are going to be bad, because it's not in Dillian White's benefit that nobody sees this fight. If he believes he's going to win and put in a big performance and, show how good he is, surely the more people watch, it helps his commercial value. It makes a potential rematch more interesting. There's a lot that goes into that. And, this is the biggest show of his career. So the less people watching it, if he loses in a bad way and not many people see it, then people can say he's not a big pay-per-view draw. He's lost comprehensively to Tyson Fury, and nobody cares about him, right? I mean, that's essentially the argument you're making. On the other hand, if a lot of people tune in and he loses comprehensively and he puts, he doesn't put in a good performance, then they can claim that he's still a big draw.
And that's been my point, Riku, from pretty much from the get-go. And I haven't heard what I think is a suitable counterpoint to it yet. Who does this Dillian White not promoting the fight, who does it really benefit? Does it benefit Dillian White? I don't think it benefits Dillian White for the promotion to crash and for it not to do well on pay-per-view. To me, like I said, again, this is kind of what I'm trying to push at here. If you believe you're going to win, I'm not saying he won't win. I'm not saying he can't win. But I'm saying at this point, 31st of March, 2022, if you believe that you are going to win, then surely your mentality would be, this guy's ducked me for 2 years. I'm going to go on his promoter's show. I'm going to knock him out. He's been avoiding me for 2 years. I'm going to promote the fight. I'm going to tell everybody I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to take all his fans from him. And then I'm going to go back to Eddie Hearn on the zone. I'm going to get paid a shitload of money and I'm going to be a bigger star than ever. Seems to be ABC 1, 2, 3, doesn't it, Riku? But only if you actually believe that you are going to win.
The only person it benefits that the fight doesn't do well commercially is Eddie Hearn, because that means that if he were to negotiate a fight against, let's say, Joshua against Fury, for example, then he could say, well, Fury is not a big draw in the UK, as big as Joshua. That helps him. And also, it just is a way to kick the other platform, to kick BT and say Frank's all good thing. For Dillian White, his only objective should be for this fight to be as big as possible and for him to put in a career performance. There should be no other objectives in this.
Okay, dokie. I think the fight's going to go. We'll move on in a sec. I tell you what, I just wanted to say, Riku, the reason why I brought Devin Haney up, and I was wanting to say to people at home, if you look at the behavior of someone like Devin Haney, and if you look at the way Devin Haney, look how hard Devin Haney fought to get that undisputed shot. How many hoops did Devin Haney? Devin Haney jumped through all kinds of hoops. He had to end his association with Eddie Hearn and sign a 3-fight agreement with Lou DiBella and Top Rank, which probably going to involve him having to beat Kambosos twice and then fight Lomachenko after that.
Yeah,
he's not going to get paid the money that he wants. He's probably not going to be promoted by the person he wants to promote him. Devin Haney's jumped through all these fucking hoops. Why is Devin Haney jumped? And he hasn't complained. By the way, Devin Haney's promoting Top Rank. Top Rank are invading Devin Haney in about an hour or two. And Devin Haney's already sort of giving teasers on his social media. So you don't see Devin Haney saying, "Oh well, I was railroaded into signing this agreement with Kambosos. No, I'm not gonna promote the fight. I'm not gonna go to Australia. I don't want this fight to be big because, well, I had no choice. I didn't want to be here. I'd rather be on the zone." And my question to the people before we move on is, what's the difference? Is it because Devin Haney believes he's going to win? Closing question, Riku, and I asked this to my pundits, to my guys on the channel the other week. If we just swap out Tyson Fury, everything's the same amount of money, same promoter, everything is the same. But we swap out Tyson Fury and we make this Dillian White versus Trevor Bryan, right? And let's say Dillian White is the overwhelming favorite to win this fight. So everything's the same, but we swap out Tyson Fury for Trevor Bryan. And Dillian White's the favorite. Do you think 4 weeks out from the fight, we're having these kind of conversations and seeing this kind of stuff on radio shows?
No, one reason is people don't care about the fight as much. And the other reason I think is generally, I know we say everything's the same, but if we've been realistic here, this is a bigger fight for White because this is his career payday. And this is a big, big purse for him. So he's going to try and squeeze every single penny he can from this fight. And because this is his retirement fund, at the end of the day, after this fight, he'll be lucky to get 33% of what he's making in this fight.
Well, what if he wins? What if he's going to win?
If he wins, then he's made a big disservice to himself because he hasn't promoted his win and nobody's tuning in.
We'll have to wait and see. All right, guys. Well, if you have any comments or questions on that, let me know. For me, like I said before, I'll leave it at this.
But I think Devin Haney is a good example of somebody that does what's best for their career and wants the big fights. And I think Canelo showed us that being loyal to promoters and networks that make money off you is not a good strategy in boxing. I think for Devin Haney, whether he goes back to the zone or not is irrelevant, but he's going to make the choices that are going to give him the best opportunities to fight the big fights and make a good career for himself. So credit to him for doing that. And loyalty in boxing is overrated because we know what happens to fighters across every stable after they lose. Loyalty is out the window for promoters.
Yeah, I agree. And Volta, sorry, I wish this guy would fucking stay on topic. So that's a timeout. Do you know what? Oh, I blocked him by mistake. Can someone unblock Volta? I blocked him by mistake. What was I going to say? Itchy trigger finger. Yeah. And in closing, all I'll say is this. I think that the reason that Haney's done that, the primary reason, Riku, is because he believes he's going to win. I believe that is the central belief that underpins everything that Devin Haney's done. Devin Haney's doing what he's doing because Devin Haney believes when I step in that ring with Kambosos, at the end of the day, I'm on a different level. And that's it. You know, talk about networks, money, splits, Lou DiBella, Eddie Hearn. The bottom line of it is this. When I get in the ring with this guy, I'm on a different level. And he's not going to be able to run from that when we get in the ring. And that's what's underpinning his decisions. Certain other fights that we've just been talking about, I'm not sure if that's the belief. And that's what I've been trying to get at, because like I said before, we've been hearing for the last 2 years about Fury's been avoiding White. Fury's scared of White. Fury doesn't want to fight White. You've been avoiding me. You see the Twitter page here. I'm the real WBC world champion. I'll be honest with you. I tend to look at what people do rather than what people say. And I'll be honest with you. The actions that I'm seeing at the minute are kind of telling me that you don't believe really what you're saying. It's a bit like when Deontay Wilder was talking all that hot shit about, oh, my gloves were tampered with and all this stuff. I knew like Deontay Wilder doesn't believe that. And we knew, and we found out after the fight, obviously, the fact that it wasn't followed up, there was no toxicology report. He never brought it up again. All a load of hot shit. Never believed it. And I believe that, like I said, Dillian White can win this fight. But I'll be honest with you, I believe we're in a similar situation again, where you've got a fighter that's saying stuff, but if you look at their fucking actions, their actions actually tell you the opposite, Riku. Their actions are telling you, look, I'm up against this. This is going to be a tough task. I'm really up against it.
Well, let's look at the Dillian White when he got off at the Joshua fight, the rematch. He didn't take that either. And the other question, actually, I had one for you. Has Artman sent you the toxicology report yet?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Listen, let me ask you. Listen, I'll flip it on you. Where's this arbitration case? Do you know what? It's so funny. Nobody will answer. And you know what? Where is Dillian White's arbitration case? When is this arbitration case for the purse split? I'm not talking about the existing arbitration case for Tyson Fury to be made champion in recess and Dillian White to be made WBC champion. Where is the arbitration case for Dillian White versus WBC to discuss this magical purse split? Where is it, Riku? I tell you what, I've had my people like Richard from Twitter who've been checking this week in, week out. There are no hearings anybody can find about Dillian White versus it's ironic with Dillian, isn't it? It's amazing how many things with Dillian just seem to disappear into thin air, isn't it, Riku?
Weren't we the first people in this channel to look at everything and go through?
Well, that was you. It was mainly you and Richard.
It was us together on this channel. We're the first people to bring it up, and it's funny how it's not being brought up anymore, and nobody can find this case. Nobody can find,
and there's people still, Riku, till this day, bringing up arbitration as a fucking excuse. Where is the arbitration case? Whenever you see somebody anywhere online, guys, talk about arbitration, the first question you ask them is, where is this arbitration case? What court is it being held in? And what date is it taking place? Because you've been hearing about this magical arbitration now, for the last flipping 4 or 5 months. And there's no case anywhere. There's no case. So where is it? Where is it?
Didn't Eddie Hearn say, oh, we can't talk about this or that because of the arbitration? But arbitrations, they public hearings, they on the public record, you can find out when things have been arbitrated.
Pathetic. I know, and I'm surprised no journalist has asked that, but apparently Eddie Hearn keeps getting answered to asked hard questions. I mean, that's bizarre. I mean, I'd ask him that question in a minute. Where's arbitration? Anyway, all right, and we move on, because I think we were just talk about other things. What would you like to talk about next? Would you like to talk about Anthony Joshua going to Saudi Arabia, or would you like to talk about Amazon?
Let's talk about that.
AJ going to Saudi Arabia. Well, politically, Jesus Christ, it's a bit of a Match have kind of done this before, didn't they? There was a bit of a political fallout when they did the Andy Ruiz versus AJ rematch in wherever they did that. But go on, Riku, lead off.
I think, as we've seen a lot of sporting organizations take their stances about Russia, Ukraine, and all this, and everybody's jumping on their high horses. We saw some people like Michelle Joy Phelps and others call out that she wasn't against it. There was somebody calling out that Russian fighters need to be stripped and they shouldn't be fighting. Yada, yada, yada. We've seen this all.
Sorry, Riku, can I just butt in? Are you saying Michelle Joy Phelps said that Russian fighters shouldn't be fighting?
No, I think she actually said that's bullshit. There was somebody else that said it should happen. I've seen a few people in boxing mention that, Russian fighters shouldn't be fighting. I get the argument fight shouldn't take place in Russia, but Russian fighters not fighting. But that's a separate topic. I do think, from Joshua's point of view, I can see 100% why he'd do the fight in Saudi Arabia. Because why shouldn't he do the fight in Saudi Arabia? But if boxing wants to be taken as a sport that has integrity and is a serious sport and doesn't support regimes or sports washing regimes that have questionable human rights records, we shouldn't be having this fight in Saudi Arabia.
Well, hold on a minute, Riku. I think you're being a bit unfair there, all right? Because I'll have you know that Eddie Hearn is a big fucking supporter of women's boxing. Now, have you not heard Eddie Hearn talk? Yeah. Eddie Hearn's very, very big on women's rights. Have you ever heard him talk about the hero Katie Taylor and what a hero she is? And Katie Taylor's an absolute legend, and talking about good female role models. So I have you know that Eddie Hearn and Matchroom are very, very big on women's rights. They're very, very big on women's rights, just like Saudi Arabia is. I wonder how this would go down in Saudi Arabia. Maybe when they fight on the undercard, maybe they can put this on the undercard of AJ versus Usyk 2 Saudi. How do you think this stuff will go down in Saudi Arabia, the new IBF champion here?
Wow, good question. Very good question.
What do you think?
But Joshua's fought once in front of a crowd since 2018 in the UK. And remember when they did that post of saying Joshua coming back home?
Yeah, I'll get it on.
Like 5-fight deal at Wembley, and they haven't fought at Wembley since the Povetkin fight. They fought over in Spurs Stadium, SSC Arena. They fought behind closed doors. But yeah, it's. I don't believe that fight should be in Saudi Arabia. Sports washing a regime with a questionable human rights record, but also I just generally think boxing, a fight of this magnitude and a fighter like Anthony Joshua, we shouldn't be encouraging it, and we shouldn't be saying that it's a good thing.
I'm trying to find the post that it was AJ's coming home. That was the picture. I'm trying to find it in a minute. That's the one. AJ's coming home. He signed that. Didn't he sign that 2-fight deal or that 2-fight agreement for his next 2 fights to be at Wembley? That was when people were asking him. I think I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I think that was around about the time people were asking him, "Are you going to take that 50 million and go fight Deontay Wilder?" And he was talking about keeping it local. Yo, I'm gonna keep it local. Let's keep it local. Yeah, it is what it is. Just a quick word on Michelle Joy Fox, Riku. I know you've come through this, but I'm not going to play it for obvious reasons. But Michelle Joy Fox right now, probably pound for pound the best journalist in all of boxing. She can be found on Seconds Out with Radio Raheem, talking all about how the reason why she gets access, the reason why she gets access to all these big boxing fights is because she does a lot of quote unquote hard work. As I said before on last week's show, where that hard work is being put in, I'm not sure it's been put into research, because here she is asking Alexander Usyk and Igor Yilmaz why the Anthony Joshua rematch can't take place in Ukraine. I don't think there's been a bigger journalist fuck up than this ever in the history of boxing, Riku.
No, I don't believe that either. And the other thing, I've never been a fan of boxing journalists being in front of the camera and, being interviewed by other boxing. I understand if you're like a Mike Coppinger or, you're somebody that writes, but, why does a video journalist that spends all their time asking questions, sitting in front of the camera, why do they need to be interviewed by other journalists? I have no idea.
Well, as we can see here, all I will say is this. Like I said before, I think Michelle Joy Phelps is absolutely excellent at her job. I think she's the very, very best in the business. And as we can see here in some of these pictures, if I just able to zoom in, she clearly is very, very big in research. Very, very big. She's a very, very big researcher. Is Michelle Joy Phelps? She's an absolutely massive researcher, and you can definitely see here that the journalistic credentials just absolutely shining through. Just trying to think of some of the. Do you know Laura Knudsenberg from BBC?
Koonsberg, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Laura Koonsberg. Do you know she dresses like this when she goes to talk to Boris Johnson and the Prime Minister? Did you know?
I'm sure she does.
Emily Maitlis. This is how Emily Maitlis dresses when she goes to talk.
Hi MPs, like hi MPs, hi members of Parliament, hi House of Lords.
Jesus fucking Christ. Okie dokie. Right. What do you want to talk about? Do you know more about this than me? Amazon are coming into boxing. But to be honest, Riku, I believe Amazon are going to be dead on arrival, pretty much, because nobody can compete with the power of DAZN. I just want to show you something here. I know Amazon have got, a relatively big bit of money behind them, but I'll be honest with you. I think this time, I know Jeff Bezos isn't. Who is it now? I don't know who it is. It's not Jeff Bezos anymore. But listen, Amazon have met their match. This is what Amazon are now going to have to deal with. This man here. This is the man, that's going to single-handedly put Amazon out of the boxing business. The great Joe Markowski. If Amazon had somebody like a Joe Markowski on their team, or if Amazon had someone like this, remember this guy when he was on the zone. We call him Badger from Bodger and Badger. This guy here. Hold on, there we go.
Simon Denyer,
Listen, this guy is a fucking. This guy here is an absolute boxing expert. Badger from Bodger and Badger, aka Simon Denyer. Now, if Amazon had these two on their team, plus Eddie and Bazza, plus these two, look. If Amazon had a team like this, right? You had Badger, you had Joe Markowski, aka Shaggy from Scooby Doo, and then you added in these two. Eddie and Bazza. Barry's memoirs are coming out. We'll get onto that in a minute. Barry Earn's memoirs, they're coming out. If you had these four in a team on Amazon, then I would say, Amazon would have a chance. But I'm afraid, Amazon don't have what it takes, Riku. Let's talk about it. Amazon will be doing, I believe it's a Nue and too.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, they do need Japan's Amazon Prime. So they do stream NFL Live and some Premier League games, so both of those sports. So I think it's interesting that they'll be going into boxing in a limited way in Japan, testing how it takes off. And I think boxing's quite a cheap sport to get into because you don't have to sign multi-year contracts to broadcast fights. They could probably pick and choose what fights they air. So I think it's an interesting development because essentially what they're providing is a better, more established technology platform than DAZN. So DAZN talk about their USB being over the top.
Sorry, I have to butt in. Excuse me. Are you telling me that DAZN's infrastructure is better than what Amazon have set up, or what with AWS and all that? Nah, it can't be.
Nobody's even heard of AWS, so nobody knows.
No, yeah. What DAZN have got that fucking server cupboard up in London? Oh, remember when they and then they laid off about 500 people during coronavirus. Anyway, carry on.
Ask the man on the street what AWS is, and they won't know, but they'll all know about DAZN. So
DWS.
Ask the average person what AWS is, and they probably won't know.
At work, we use DWS, DAZN Web Services. That's how. That's what we use at work. DAZN Web Services. That's how we do our cloud stuff. Carry on.
Yeah, I hear a lot of SMEs are running their cloud off DAZN Web Services. I think it's interesting because Amazon will have so much data on consumers, so they can figure out whether boxing is a big sport in the market, whether there's a demand. So, for example, every time you buy boxing gloves, or you buy boxing equipment or browse boxing equipment, or you watch content on Amazon Prime, so boxing and sports documentaries, it's quite easy for them to figure out what the demand is, and they can probably buy fights based off that. And also, for the same price that you pay for DAZN, you'll get Amazon Prime content, so the entertainment stuff, lots of movies, lots of TV series. You'll get the delivery service, free deliveries, and then you can also probably end up getting a few boxing fights here and there. And given what DAZN is offering for their money at the moment and the fight schedule they have, it's quite easy for Amazon to tap into that market and get some of the DAZN subscribers. It's not going to be masses in terms of numbers. I don't think they're going to be there to rival big sporting networks, but they can have, a presence in the UK. And I wouldn't be surprised if promoters were looking to make deals with Amazon now that they know that they in the boxing game, because what better way to try and tap into the Amazon market, Amazon word, but also the data they have, and Amazon can support in so many ways. So every time you're buying a boxing equipment from Amazon, they could just target you with ads. When you're on Amazon Prime, they can target you with ads. There's just so many things they can do. I mean, if they've gone into tennis, why wouldn't they be going into boxing? It would be a perfect home for if they were to do another World Boxing Super Series. That's where it will be a perfect home, because you'd be airing that across all the different nations. it will be all on Amazon Prime. Something like that, it could work really, really well. And I think that would really make sense. And I don't think somebody put pay-per-view. I genuinely don't think they'd have to do pay-per-view. They'd just say subscribe for Amazon Prime for 3 months for 30 quid or $30, and you get all of this stuff plus pay-per-view. And they would make their money back a lot quicker than DAZN. So the other advantage they have is that they points of making money, like DAZN, it's just that one way, which is essentially you buying a DAZN subscription, whereas Amazon, once you're in the ecosystem, they can sell you Audible, they can sell you products on the online marketplace, they can get you to buy movies off the Amazon Prime Video thing, they can sell you all sorts of stuff. So it's a great model, I believe.
Okay. In closing, what about if you're DAZN? What about if I look at all the customers who are buying Sandor Martin versus Jose Felix, and then I contact them, and then I try and get them to buy Conor Benn versus Chris Van der Heerden? Surely that's like a better business model than what Amazon have got going.
Yeah, I mean, look, Conor Benn's such a big draw that everybody will sign to DAZN anyways to watch Conor Benn. So you don't even need to contact the customers.
There you go. There was something else that we were supposed to talk about, but I have completely fucking forgotten. Thank you, Simon, for sending me the picture of AJ's coming home. I will get that up in just a second. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Anything else that's on your mind? As long as
it isn't regarding the P. Diddy song, "It's Coming Home, It's Coming Home," and that's where AJ's coming home.
AJ's coming home. Jesus Christ! Yeah, came home for about fun. I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they explain off that Saudi Arabia one. But like I said before, hopefully we'll see what happens there. If anybody has any questions to ask Riku, please go ahead now and ask any questions, or forever hold your peace.
We'll do 15 minutes of Q&A and then time for dinner. But I just thought we'd do a quick episode now that you're back and you're feeling a bit healthier.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I'm not anywhere near 100% at all, actually. But that's another story for another.
Somebody said Baz's memoirs.
Well, I'm trying to avoid it because you know what happens when people start bringing up Baz's memoirs and books. We know where the conversation's going to go. It's going to go in a direction that inevitably leads to accusations of terrible things with no fucking evidence, and then ends up with Jeffrey Benz fucking called him at my fucking house, talking to me about escrow contracts and fucking complimentary tickets.
Do you think the memoir starts on a ship that sails from Africa all the way to the UK? That's where the memoirs start from. A ship in the 1800s.
Ask Riku, does Chris Rock have a better chin than Amir Khan?
Well, I don't think Will Smith's slap was good enough. I mean, which man slapped somebody with an open palm? That's my question.
What do you think about that? People are asking what you think about that quickly.
You know what? First, I thought it was a hoax. Like, it wasn't a real thing. It was all acting, getting some views and clicks. But I don't know. It's a tricky one because why would Will Smith ruin his career? But now that I've seen Chris Rock's $40 stand-up tickets are selling for $400, it seems like everybody's the winner.
Yeah, I'll tell you one guy who ain't winning right now, Will Smith, because he got to go home to this. I've got to be careful what I say. He's got to go home to this fucking. He's got to go home to Tupac ex-girlfriend every single night. Let me quickly say this for 2 minutes. Yeah, this man Will Smith is the biggest fucking simp on this planet. Chevron, cover your ears. This man is the biggest fucking simp on this planet right now. This man got up on stage to defend the honor of this woman who basically told him she wants an open marriage. And I've got to be careful what I say here, but I think we all know who initiates open marriages. I think if you look at the statistics on divorce, you'll find that there's a very, very interesting statistic on who tends to initiate divorce 70% of the time. I'd like to see the statistics on who likes to initiate open relationships most of the time. But anyway, this guy got up to protect the honor of a woman who got up on camera and told the entire world that A, he isn't very, very good in bed, that B, she was banging one of his son's friends. One of his son's friends was coming around to the house and railing this damn woman in the house in a so-called open relationship that Will Smith didn't even know about. Son's friends were coming over and railing his damn wife upstairs in the bedroom, while he was out doing Lord knows what. and then broadcasting it. Didn't even have the decency to keep it secret. Then put the business out there on a red table talk. What an absolute disgrace, man. And she bring up, do you know what I found out as well? Do you know his son is writing letters to Tupac, who died 20 years ago? Have you seen this, Willow Smith?
No, I haven't seen
This woman had Willow Smith writing letters to Tupac Shakur. I'm not even joking. I'll try and get the letter up. What kind of woman has her son? Here you go. Here's the letter. Dear Tupac, I know you are alive someplace. I really think that my mummy misses you. Can you please come back? Can you come back so mummy and me can be happy? I wish you were here. Love, Willow. Bro, is that not one of the most fucked up things you ever seen in your life?
Will Smith should just leave, right?
He should leave. Bro, this is looking like Will Smith ending up like Bruce Willis in A Sixth Sense. His kids are sitting out there talking to dead people. What the fuck? His kids are out there talking to dead people, bro. Telling dead people, yo, writing to your mum's dead boyfriend. Yo, can you come back and give my mum one more time? Because she really misses you, Will. I'm sick and tired of this August Alsina dude popping around every 5 minutes when you're not here, sliding one into my mum. Can Tupac come back? I mean, this shit's fucked up. And he out there, he got the nerve to turn around and say, keep my wife's name out your mouth. But she ain't your wife. She's never behaved like your wife. A wife, Riku, goes up on an altar and a wife says, I will be with you till death do you part. Just me and you. A wife doesn't go up on the fucking altar in front of a priest and say, I will be with you until August Alsina turns up with his 8-incher and then slides it in me when you're not in the house and not looking. Carry on, Riku.
Yeah.
Sorry, a bit of a rant.
I don't know. I mean, this guy, he's done. His credibility is done. He's never going to be in a scene where he's pretending to be a ladies' man again. He might turn into the simp in some TV show.
Great point. That's a fact. Listen, let me say this in closing. They should write this man out. I said to Shevin, they need to write this man out of Bad Boys. This man played one of the biggest players. What was it? Marcus? That's it. Mike Lowry. This dude played Mike Lowry, one of the biggest fucking players in the history of cinema, isn't it? One of the greatest light-skinned men that's ever lived, that's ever stepped foot on this earth. You know, if you look at the light-skinned Hall of Fame right now, who you got? Malcolm X, Ryan from Box Talk, Mike Lowry, Riku. Like, you look at that Hall of Fame. Let's have a Hall of Fame there. You look at that Hall of Fame, guys, yeah? This guy played one of the biggest pimps in the history of cinema. And let me tell you something, I said to Shevin, they need to give Will Smith 9 Oscars for playing Mike Lowry, because it turned out that this dude literally the biggest cuckold in the history of cinema. They need to give this dude, forget all this King Richard, they need to go back in time and give Will Smith 9 Oscars, for playing it for playing a player, because he ain't no flicking player.
I had an interesting theory. Because he's preparing for Bad Boys 4 and another film. They was roid rage because he was obviously a bit podgy in what do you call it, King Richard. So maybe he was just on the roids. Maybe he was on. Maybe we need his B sample. We need Will Smith's B sample.
Listen. Will Smith needs to go and get that D sample, divorce sample. Get out to the lawyer ASAP. Because listen, let me tell you something. The only thing that's going to make him happy is if he leaves that woman. That's the only thing that will make him happy. Get out of that marriage. He could have any woman in the world, Riku, and he stuck with Tupac ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, he could always get Jeffrey Benson's advice on what to do in the situation, the legal advice.
Jeffrey Benson.
He can write the contract for the divorce.
Dillian White's lawyer. Jesus. Jeffrey Benson would be like, oh, shit. What does it say in the contract? Oh, Will, look, it says in the contract that you have to give 90% of your savings over. But look, at the end of the day, we've got to sign this contract in 20 minutes. Just sign it here. That's Jeffrey Benz. Jeffrey Benz be coming on Talk Sport telling Jada about fucking, yo, we agreed about this. Is it in the nah, but listen, we agreed to negotiate about this. Like, crazy.
Think about this, right? You're a lawyer. Why would he go into a public forum to discuss a contract? Like, what lawyer does that? Have you ever seen a lawyer go into a public forum so carelessly discussing contractual details?
Well, the thing is, he came on Talk Sport, and what did he say? He said, well, we've been trying to get in contact with Frank, but we haven't been able to get in contact with him for months. That's what he came on and said. He's like, we've been trying to contact you, Frank. We haven't been able to get in contact with you for months. As soon as he said that, my spidey senses started tingling, because the first thing I thought was, well, hold on a minute. What the fuck do you need to get in contact with Frank Warren for? You've signed a contract. All you have to do is abide by the fucking contract that you fucking signed. Why are you so eager to get hold of Frank Warren? Why do you need to have a back and forth with Frank Warren? You signed an agreement. It is what it is. But then it all kicked off. Sorry.
No. I agree. It was a bizarre. I don't think what he thought he'd get out of it. Did he think that people would say, "Oh, Dillian's been done so hard. The Cadman will fight against anybody. But Frank Warren just needs to give him another shilling."
I tell you what. I'll leave it at this. Right. If anybody's got any fun, we've got 5 more minutes. If anybody's got any questions for Riku, if anybody's got any super chats for me in the last 5 minutes, if anybody wants to know,
like and subscribe if you can't.
Yeah, please like and subscribe. 170.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's all right. 177 in the chat. I bet we've got about 15 likes. I haven't really been pushing it anyway. Look, 177 viewers, 55 likes. Absolutely disgusting. So it is what it is. Yeah, I think you're muted, Riku. But yeah, I understand.
No, I'm not muted.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It was slightly delayed. But yeah, let me just go for the prices quickly. Read my comments, $4.99s. Any shout out, $6.99s, etc., etc. Those are the prices on the screen. Listen, if Dillian doesn't perform in this fight, Riku, I think he's gonna get absolutely torn a new one. Like if he doesn't perform in this fight, like even if he doesn't win, but he performs great like Wilder, then I think all will be forgotten. But I think if he turns up to this fight and he doesn't produce, right, there's going to be a lot of question marks asked, about what's been going on and about all this stuff and what's been going on and how it's affecting. You know, that's all I'm going to say in my closing point, Riku.
Oh, there'll be a narrative, won't there? There'll be a narrative around the fact that he was treated so badly and everything was in the changing rooms. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. He wasn't mentally prepared and they were dicking him around.
That's a very, very good point. I never thought about that. Do you think if he gets beat, they'll do that?
Yeah, of course they will. They'll say he was treated appallingly. He was woken up in the hotel and, they were doing everything to distract him and they were doing this and that. But, if it's good enough for other fighters to go to Mexico and win where they've been treated hideously, then I'm sure Dillian White can win, right? He's from the roads. He's from Brixton. He's scary, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, he actually is, to be fair. But I'll tell you what, Riku says, what happens if the situation in Ukraine worsens before the rematch? Would Usyk be allowed to delay the fight or would he get stripped for not fighting?
Firstly, I think the situation getting worse in Ukraine supersedes anything to do with boxing. But I do think he's made the commitment now to come back, right? I think
he's not in Ukraine either. He's obviously training outside
of Ukraine. I think the right thing would be, and from an optics point of view, is they just make him champion Emirates if he didn't want to fight, and Joshua would fight against somebody else. And I think he's committed now to fight. Right, he's said that he wants to fight, so I can't see him changing his mind. Usyk isn't a guy that messes around, right? Unlike White.
No, exactly.
But if the governing bodies, if there was a situation where he felt like he wanted to go back, I'm sure that they would just make him champion Emirates and they'd have another sanctioning fee going on for the regular, for a belt or regular belt or whatever it is.
170 in the chat so far. Please hit the like button if you can. I'm not even going to bother asking anybody to subscribe at the minute, pretty much because I've kind of given up on YouTube quite a bit. Mainly, this is a very, very good tweet. This is AJ Fans in a nutshell. This is one of the AJ Fans tweets when they heard about the Ukraine war. This is really unfortunate, but the heavyweight division must move on. Boxing needs an active champion. Usyk should be stripped for the time, and then belts given back to AJ. And then when he's ready, he can request a rematch. Praying for Ukraine flag. So there you go. So there you go, Riku. Hold on. So there you go, Riku. Just so anybody knows what the mindset of certain Anthony Joshua fans is at the moment. Obviously, we've got a big war going on here between two very powerful countries. We've got around about between 15 and 20,000 casualties at least, and people being bombed into oblivion. But nevertheless, Riku, the heavyweight division must move on, and boxing needs an active champion. So we can just strip AJ of the Usyk of the belts and give them back to AJ for the time being. That would be great.
Let's dissect the post. Boxing needs and active champion. So, I mean, that's a typo. But anyways, active champion. How do we define what active is? Usyk has activated the rematch. I mean, AJ has activated a rematch clause. It's been his side that have been delaying this fight, it seems. The other thing is, if he's stripped Usyk, why would the belts go back to AJ? They will be just scattered around.
That's how it works.
And also, every governing body makes their own choices. So somebody could strip him, others could maybe not strip him. Also, we had COVID recently where fighters weren't active for long periods of time. And wasn't the Anthony Joshua's side or Eddie Hearn saying, oh, he'd like a keep busy fight?
Well, well, I've got to be careful what I say here, but it looks like you're going to have quite a bit of insight, aren't you, into what's happening in Anthony Joshua's next fight. I'm not going to out you or anything, but it looks like you're going to have quite a bit of insight into what's actually happening in Anthony Joshua's camp.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially, yes.
Potentially, yeah. If you do hear anything, please let me know about that. But yeah. Well, you know how it is. AJ must. As long as AJ gets the belts, that's the main thing, isn't it? As long as AJ gets the belts, everybody is happy. Luke Manhattan says people know that AJ is getting flatlined in a rematch, hence the desperation from AJ fans. If you want to ask Riku a question, probably go for another 2 minutes. Hashtag ask Riku. We will ask Riku. Somebody asked you actually. Hashtag ask Riku if you want to ask Riku a question. Somebody did ask you what you think about the return of the walking pharmacy. Jarrell Miller has returned and is now gone into the camp of Tyson Fury. So Jarrell Miller, aka Stay Puft from Ghostbusters.
I mean, Tyson Fury was banned from boxing a while ago, as everybody remembers. I think the optics of that just don't look very good. That's all I'm going to say about that matter.
To say the least.
Yeah. There's not much else to say about that.
Really? I'll say some more. I mean, look, I think, how do I say this? So I think Tyson Fury, first and foremost, is giving, obviously, Jarrell Miller the opportunity, trying to save Jarrell Miller. Do you know what? Someone raised a very, very interesting point. Somebody said that when Dillian White had some problems once, and I believe he was banned from, is it true that Dillian was banned from boxing for 2 years? Because he
was for taking Jack 3D, which was an over-the-counter substance. It was like when he was 6-0 or 5-0. So I think it was, well, a lot of people say and a lot of people assume it was a genuine mistake where he bought an over-the-counter substance when he was a small hall fighter, maybe fighting on Mickey Elliott shows back in the day, and he got banned from British Boxing Board of Control.
Right. Well, apparently when Dillian was also banned, Fury brought him into his camp when he was serving a ban to try and keep him moving and to try and get ready. So apparently some people are saying Fury does have a previous for this. He's trying to, sort of help Jarrell. Obviously, optics-wise, it looks fucking absolutely terrible. But to be honest with you, it doesn't really bother me because you know my opinion on boxers. I believe literally, I believe all of them are doing something.
Yeah. I don't think we can take a moral high ground on this because I think Jarrell Miller's ban, considering what he'd done versus Canelo and others, just isn't consistent and never has been in boxing. So stylistically, I think it's quite a good match.
I think it's very good. It's a very good match.
I think he's probably more active than White is, and he doesn't have a similar left hook, but just by body composition and, style and everything else, I think he's a very good sparring partner.
Mark Stanton's got a comment that's folded me in half, but I can't read it. All right, Riku. I'm not going to put that up on the screen. It's bad enough. All right, Riku. Final words then, and I will listen. It's nice to see two YouTubers getting together and not threatening to beat each other up or not threatening to fucking kill each other. It seems like these days these YouTube streaks are turning into the fucking Sopranos. It's turning into the fucking Sopranos. People getting whacked left, right, and center, isn't it?
I know it's internet wars. Maybe it's because I don't have a channel, so I don't feel like I'm in competition with you that we need to be threatening.
Well, I'll make you one, and we can start calling each other out. We can start calling each other the N-word and stuff. I'll tell you, come down to my gym. Tell you what, you come down and meet me. I'll tell you what, we'll do a charity fight. Problem with these fucking charity fights is fucking charity fight, and then what? It's we're trained for 12 weeks, and no one's gonna fucking turn up, or
And we also know the money never goes to charity.
Yeah, I fucking laugh when I hear this bullshit about, Ultra, come and do a charity fight. Yeah, all right, I'm going to take fucking 6 weeks out of my fucking personal time to go and train off my own fucking dollar for a fight. that I might get injured and not turn up, or one of us might not turn up. That makes sense. But it is what it is, Rico. I tell you what, I just keep my mouth shut. I am currently, actually, I do have some videos of myself in the gym, actually. Might show you later. But I was actually in the gym twice last week, which is why I'm not very well again. But yeah, I was in the gym twice last week and took a few punches to the head. Jason says, Riku, do you think Dillian has managed his career appallingly? He said he turned down the AJ fight because of the rematch clause, not the 5 million. Now he's getting more money with no rematch clause.
So, yeah, I mean, look, it's a standard thing in contract.
Finish up on this, Rico. I'll let you finish.
He's been on the other side where him as a matchroom fighter have asked for rematch clauses. For example, from Povetkin, if you get a chance for if you get a shot for a world title for voluntary defense, you tend to have a rematch clause. It's not like he was asked to sign up to another promoter that had options on him.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, that's just BS. But Jason, yes, I think his career has been managed appallingly. The reason I say that is he's made quite a bit of money. I think he's lost his momentum and he's lost his opportunity to ever be remembered as a good boxer.
I think we'll see. We'll see. I think we need to wait and see if he might win and surprise us all. Bigger things have happened. Just quickly back. Blue Collar Sports says, funny you say that. I went back to the gym for the first time in a year last week. Didn't even spar, just worked the bag and my hands felt like jelly. I'm pretty much back. My chest isn't working at the minute and we're trying to figure out why that is. Maybe I've got X amount of days to live. Maybe it's because I got punched in the body a lot when I was sparring out on the mats with a friend of mine who's going to turn pro, actually. And just because someone turns pro doesn't mean they're going to be a world champion, but they will be turning pro. And I got it was supposed to be light, but we all know what it turns into. Not necessarily out and out hard sparring, but it's never light. You know, you always come home with some bruise or some injury. But yeah, the best way to do it is to stay in the gym. Loads of people that are mentioning Dillian White and pharmaceuticals, which I can't really be reading those comments in a minute.
I can see the Londoner Sticks comments, right? That a lot of these boxers are pop for peds. I don't look. I've said this before. I don't care whether boxers take peds or not because most of them probably do. But what I hate is the hypocrisy of British boxing fans and British boxing media and British boxers, where they call out foreign fighters for taking peds, but they tend to exclude the fact when British fighters get popped for peds. And that's something we never talk about. That's something that's called out by, the Mexican beef, or, a Mexican fighter comes over here, like Lara, and beats Josh Warrington. People say straight about, this guy's on peds. He must be on peds.
Can I ask you something? Does anybody remember in the chat, yes or no, about Canelo Alvarez? Did Tony Bellew, when Canelo Alvarez beat Callum Smith in the manner he did Tony Bellew not come on Twitter and make some really interesting points about Canelo Alvarez? Because I could have sworn Tony Bellew came on Twitter after he beat Callum Smith and basically said, insinuated that Canelo Alvarez was on some form of performance-enhancing drugs. While people think about that, I will say this as well. Riku, one person who's never a hypocrite about anything relating to drugs or performance-enhancing drugs is, of course, Eddie Hearn. As you can see here, Eddie Hearn 3 years ago, Canelo Alvarez will always be known as a cheater. Look at Canelo's physique in the last GG fight, etc., etc. So plenty of videos of Eddie Hearn calling Canelo Alvarez a cheater. We've played these videos before. Eddie Hearn saying Canelo's reputation probably never recover, and people will be asking what the hell has he been doing throughout his career. So there you go. Got plenty of videos of Eddie Hearn questioning Canelo Alvarez, and we all know, of course, Riku, Eddie Hearn would never work or do any deals with Canelo Alvarez because he's already gone on record and accused him of being a drug cheat. So I null and void your point about there about British promoters and fighters inconsistency.
Yeah, but also remember, Canelo's like Barry Hearn said that Canelo's like family to Matchroom, and then somebody said, "What, you guys decided to fight here?" He's like, "You wouldn't understand anything about family." So Canelo's like family to Matchroom as well. So family falls out with one another. Portugal tax-free. I think Portugal has a tax rate of 15 to 40 something %. So there's probably other reasons why it's good to be in Portugal. UCAD it doesn't operate in Portugal, but that's just my own assumptions.
Yeah, very interesting. Very the taxes is something that somebody was DMing me about Dillian White and tax money, but obviously we can't sort of mention that
Yeah, there's probably other reasons. Yeah.
Dan Selby says, if you think Tyson Fury is clearly bothered about mind games, then you don't know boxing. I don't know, mate. To be honest, Dan, I think Tyson Fury is absolutely rattled. I don't know about you, Riku. And I think, to be honest, mind games win boxing. That's my opinion on that, Riku. I think mind games win boxing.
If you break the eye contact when there's the stare down, you've lost the fight, essentially. And you know, whatever you say in press conferences, when you say a funny line and the other person can't respond, like a Jeremy Carr roast thing, what he does on his comedy shows, one of those where people heckle at him. If he can't respond, the odds just go down. Like, it's all about the mind games, because these guys have been training for 20 years and doing. There's no point in even doing it at the camp. Just go to a comedy, comedy training camp and prepare for the mind games.
That's it. Mind games. It is what it is. What are you having for dinner?
I'll probably just have a pizza or something.
Well, from where? From where?
Tesco's finest. I'm sorry about it, mate.
You motherfucker! You're never coming on this channel again. If I'd have known you shop at Tesco's, I'd have never known you on.
I didn't manage to leave the house until just a bit earlier.
Mind you, London is a bit of a shithole. They've got Tesco's Expresses on every fucking street corner. Which one are you having? Hold on. Which one have you got having then?
Go to Tesco's finest.
You think that makes it all right because you're having Tesco's finest?
No. It's the
what flavour? What flavour?
It's like the salami one.
Oh, he likes a salami. Oi, oi.
It might be, that one there, the top one, spicy salami
with red chilies.
Yeah, that's the one.
Wood-fired pizza. Oi, oi. There you go. Hey, it's got a rating of fucking 2.2 out of 20. Have you not been on Tesco's website, Riku? It's got a rating of 2 out of 20 on their own effing website.
Yeah, but you know what? I've got this view that people only rate things if they think something's really good or really bad. Let's read the ratings. What are they saying?
The flavour was okay, but the base was rubbish. I usually wouldn't whinge, but it was super expensive for a naff pizza.
Okay, it wasn't super expensive.
It was not at all. This pizza was both slimy, soggy, and a bit crispy. That's Tesco's fault. That's nothing to do with the way you fucking cooked it.
But isn't that an oxymoron? Slimy, soggy, and crispy.
What? Hold on a minute. You're walking into a supermarket and breathing the same air as these fucking people. I hope you wear a mask when you walk in there.
I wear double mask. No, you know what? I can't wear a mask in case Josh Taylor finds me.
All right, Riku. I'm calling it a day.
Thank you, everybody. Make sure you subscribe and like and all that. And
if you have
donate to Super Chat. Donate to Super Chat.
You've got a few. I've got thanks to whoever sent me that $500 Super Chat. Thank you very much. The comment was white. It didn't turn baby blue, but I'll be checking my account in the next 5 minutes. And I'll be looking forward to seeing that money in there.
All right, take care, bro. Cheers.
See you later, mate. In a bit.